everybody. Welcome to Let's Be Blunt, a podcast about living and loving everything Blount County, Tennessee.
We're your hosts, Brett Hepner and Eric Rice, the property dads at LeConte Realty, and we're excited to talk more about this great place we call home.
All right. We are here once again on the Let's Be Blunt podcast, and this week is a snowy, blustery, icy week here in East Tennessee, but it's warm inside, and we've got a warm guest and a warm body who's decided to join us, and that's Roy Milner. And Roy, I was going to give your title, but looking through all of the things that you're doing on LinkedIn and other things, I don't know what your like. You've got so many titles. You wear so many hats.
I don't know what it is either. The big secret is I just keep making them up as I go.
That's good with us. We are now podcasters. So
what is your current title that you would call yourself?
Well, the most playful one is Chief Fermentation Officer. I realized as we were starting Blackberry Farm Brewery in 2010, 2012, like partner sounded too serious for craft beer. General manager sounded too boring. And I was like, you know what? I kind of deal with everything that happens in our business. So I just called myself the CFO, which upset some people at BlackBerry that were real CFOs. They're like, you can't be the CFO. I'm like, I've already done it. I've already made business cards. So I think Chief Fermentation Officer is a nice, playful way to sum it all up. I do a lot of things in consulting, and that always makes people smile. So it's a easy place to start.
Well, that's perfect. Well, I hope we get into several of the things that you've got going, because there's some really interesting stuff. But we'd kind of like to start with you and your background and how we got here. So if you don't mind, just give us a little, for those of our listeners who don't know you well, a little background on you and kind of how you got to Blount County.
Yeah, so I absolutely adore Blount County. I had a brush with it in college. I went to school in Knoxville in the early 90s, and I was an avid hiker. So I spent a lot of time going through Blount County, getting to the park on the Cades Cove side. That was my favorite way to ingress at the park. And I just spent a lot of time in Blount County in the early 90s, mid 90s. I lived in Knoxville from 90 to 2000. And I'll try to weave this together. The way I found beverage was I started throwing parties and home brewing in college. So as a sophomore at UT, I fell in love with home brewing. I had a mentor that was running the homebrew shop who we're dear friends. I just celebrated his 83rd birthday with him at the tap room. But
oh, wow.
I just discovered that I had a love for brewing. I was interested in business. It was a fun way for me to start getting interested in history and studying the old world cultures. And I went from a college student with a marketing degree to opening a brewery with a friend in 1996 called Eastern Rivers Brewing Company. That was in Knoxville. I was the head brewer at the mill. If you remember the mill that was in Sequoia Hills, and I forget the name at Western Plaza. I forget the name of the where Fresh Market is now.
Yeah.
But I ran that brewery for a couple of years, and that ended up morphing into a job with Boston Beer Company. It was the springboard for me to do a lot of things in beverage. But the way I ended up in Blount County, I was facing an impending move to Los Angeles with Red Bull. I had two very young daughters, was traveling way too much in hindsight. And I just decided, I grew up in Chattanooga. My wife is from Chattanooga. And I was like, I'm just not going to raise my kids in LA. I spent a lot of time in LA. It was fine for work purposes, and I knew about BlackBerry. When I was at Sam Adams Boston Beer, our founder, Jim Cook, was invited to speak at BlackBerry a couple of times. And I ended up being the person that took him out there. So I knew about the farm. I had a mutual friend that was booking a lot of the music at the farm. And I ended up getting a meeting with Sam Bell in 2010. And it was a 1-hour meeting that turned into an entire day. We talked about our passion for beverages. We decided that a brewery might be a fun place to start. He was more interested in a distillery. And it just kind of morphed from that idea in 2010 to in 2013, we decided we were going to, in fact, build a production brewery. And I moved my
Yeah.
family over here. My 2 daughters and my wife, we moved in May of 13. So that's what got me to Blount County, and I absolutely love it here.
So you met Sam, but you still did you still work for I guess Red Bull at the time, or what? So you just
Yeah,
transitioned at some point during that time.
it was a very interesting part of my life because I was traveling to Europe a lot. I really
Yeah.
missed craft beer, but I had made it through 3 CEOs at Red Bull. I'd survived, which, if you know anything about that company, it's kind of the Nike, Google. I mean, it was
Right.
just so fast paced, so cutting edge, and I was doing well in my career, but I really wanted to be off the road. I wanted to be in Tennessee. I wanted to do something in beer again, and it just kept morphing into this idea of what if Blackberry Farm was interested in a brewery that spoke more to agriculture, spoke more to culinary, more about purpose and intention and slowing down, being at the table, and lo and behold, Sam had been thinking something similar, and it was
Hmm.
just perfect timing. I mean, I wouldn't trade my time at Red Bull for anything. I was there for 11 years. So if you think back to who knew what an energy drink was in 2001, 2002,
Mhm.
like it
Yeah.
was so new to the United States. And I got to see this. I always think about it this way. I've really worked for 3 companies in earnest before I went off on my own to be the person that I am today, more entrepreneurial. And all 3 of those companies started off as underdogs. So Boston Beer Company was this fledgling craft brewery fighting against Anheuser-Busch, Miller Brewing Company, Coors Brewing Company. Then Red Bull was this nascent, tiny company from Austria that was competing with Coca-Cola, Pepsi, the huge cut Schweppes, the biggest companies in the world. And then Blackberry Farm was this small, independently owned destination resort competing with Paris and New York and the Ritz-Carlton and Four Seasons. And I think learning how to compete and how to differentiate was a huge life lesson for me. And like I wouldn't trade where I live now for anything. It's been a beautiful thing to be able to raise our girls here, to be able to like who would have imagined that I would be doing what I am today, which is mainly things in spirits and consulting. When it started off with a move for the brewery.
Yeah.
So, well, you said you went to school in Knoxville. Did you go to UT?
I did. I was at UT from
What was
90
your
to 94.
What was your major?
I had a business administration degree with a concentration in marketing and a minor in psychology. I had some amazing professors there, and I was very interested in craft beer. So I, my dad was very upset with me when I graduated because I had some job offers. I liked school. I did well in school. I had job offers from Procter and Gamble and Nabisco and like some big companies. And I said no to all of that to pursue craft
Hmm.
beer, which again wasn't even a real industry at that point in time. But I had
Right.
some professors in my business program that were well traveled, understood that craft beer might be a big opportunity, and kind of pushed me to pursue that. So I'm very grateful that I had those influences at that point in my life because all the tea leaves said, no, go get a job, go work for a big company and learn on the job.
So, I just have to throw this in. Do you know Dr. Nathan Duncan at Maryville College?
Absolutely. I saw him last weekend at the chili cook-off.
Because he's
Oh,
getting
yeah.
paid to do your dream of like make beer for a living.
Yes. I keep threatening to try to teach a class over there. We'll see if that comes to fruition.
Oh, I'm sure they would love that. And, and you,
Well,
like many others, go ahead.
well, I love what they did with the downtown center. It's just such a high
Yeah.
energy, all the evening classes and seeing the brewery in there. And I've been to some cooking workshops there, and I've given a couple of talks there. And to have it be a hub of activity when there's activities downtown for the college, I just think it's really cool what they're doing. Was talking to another friend that's helping with their hospitality program, and to capture what's happening right now in our community with agriculture, hospitality, and beverage is just a it's a really neat thing. I'm excited about what the college is doing.
Yeah, they're doing some amazing stuff, and I know BlackBerry is involved in that. I know different um, hospitality companies in the area are involved in that. What involvement do you still have maybe in BlackBerry, and I think maybe with the Oldhams and some of the different hospitality companies here in Blount County?
Yeah, I'm a chameleon of sorts, not on purpose. It just sort of happened. I was
Yeah.
when we decided that the brewery was going to be sold from BlackBerry, it was all extremely amicable. We all worked on it together. I, we had some companies that were interested that were not from this area, but I had known Mark and Sharon for a long time. I'd started having beers and lunch with Houston when he came here straight from college from University of Richmond. So I knew a lot about what they were doing, and they had an interest in a brewery at what's now Peaceful Side Social. So I knew they were interested in owning a brewery or building a brewery. And it was really important to me to keep that business Blount County owned. And
Mhm.
it took a while to figure out the nuance of what that might look like. But over the course of 2023, we worked it out, we figured it out. And I've stayed involved with the Oldhams since the transaction was in November of 23. So I don't have an operational role in the brewery anymore, but I'm still there a couple of times a week. We talk strategy. We work on distribution plans together. I work on some of the portfolio recipes with the brewery team. It was also important to me to keep the team together. We really
Mm.
wanted to keep that team because we had an awesome product. It was at a time where BlackBerry was focusing more on what started off as one hotel, now three hotels, Blackberry Farm, Blackberry Mountain, High Hampton, and some new initiatives they wanted to focus on. So it was actually a great experience. And I was able to stay involved, so which was very rewarding for me. And we kept most of the team. And then I ended up the way I got involved in Pinty's, which morphed into Launch Hospitality. The guy who founded Pinty's was a friend of mine in Nashville, and he was a huge supporter of the brewery. And I took a couple of people that I worked with at BlackBerry to visit in Nashville, his concept that was at the time kind of it was in a food hall like Kern's in Knoxville. So
Yeah.
it wasn't brick and mortar. It was more of an outpost. It went from a food truck to a stall. And we were all blown away just by the quality of his food going from a food truck to a stall. So we started talking about what if this became brick and mortar? And the opportunity to do one in Sevierville came up. David Rule was a dear friend. I was at the Appalachian all the time. We found a location right around the corner, and the landlord who ran that food hall decided they were going to turn it into something else. So our partner in Pinchies was going to lose that location. So we just decided to go for a brick and mortar, and I became a very passive investor in that because I was interested. I knew all the players. I liked the product, and in the last 2.5 years, Pinty's went from one location in Sevierville to a location in Texas that wasn't planned to the opportunity to put one in Maryville. As soon as we announced the Maryville project, Jim Simpson from Walnut Kitchen was like, this might be a perfect time for me to give this business a chance to have a new chapter. So it wasn't really planned. It just all of a sudden, Launch Hospitality was formed. We have 5 restaurants now and a small hotel, and I'm a partner investor in that. And again, like Peaceful Side, I don't really have an operational role. It's more business development, strategic, relational, just making sure that the culture is right because I get to see hospitality companies all over the world. And I get to work with a lot of different people. So I try to bring those things back to Blount County and try to have a positive impact on the businesses that we have here. So hopefully that's happening.
So, one thing you said, I have a question. How do you
Sure.
accidentally open a restaurant in Texas?
When your business partner has family and is spending time in a place that reminds him of Franklin, Tennessee, and he's like,
Uh,
okay, this is going in a direction. There's a location that was vacant. The landlord really wanted a seafood concept in there, and nobody was doing New England seafood in Texas. Everyone was doing Gulf seafood, which makes sense. And
Yeah.
we had all the suppliers, we had the business plan, we had all the recipes, we had an appetite to do this thing, and we had a team that had scaled concepts before. So one of those perfect storms that you're like, this makes no sense. I really don't think this is a good idea. And then a week later, you're like, we're doing it.
So
You
where
know,
is it?
It's
yeah,
in
where?
Bernie, Texas. So Bernie, Texas is about 30 minutes. It's a suburb of San Antonio. It's about 30 minutes northwest of San Antonio.
Wow.
We you know, one of the things that we have learned, in this podcast and of course in our time living here, um, is the relationships that you build here. It always seems to lead somewhere else, and or the relationships that you sort of form outside of Blount County always seem to lead back to Blount County. And I just, it's not like you went out looking for these necessarily. It sounds like, but through these relationships, you just start putting the pieces back together and bringing them back to a really great place to be, Blount County, and we all get to benefit from those relationships.
Well, you guys are doing it. This right here, just letting people tell stories, giving people reasons to become more engaged, have more sense of pride. I'm sure we'll talk about my bourbon projects, but I'll tell
We
you
hope
kind of
so.
funny thing that happened for me. I I I was doing a lot of stuff in spirits when I was at Blackberry, and I did some projects with Willet, and I did some other projects with Bardstown Bourbon, and I just saw this opportunity to do more things in spirits, and I've ended up with 3 brands. One of my brands has a partner in Denver and Atlanta. Another one of my brands has a partner in Las Vegas and Orlando. And then my third project has a partner in Napa Valley. So those people are here a lot. They come here to see me. We have strategy meetings, we have project development meetings. And then when I was at Blackberry, we had over 100 collaborations that we did from around the globe. So we were bringing people to Blount County to make products that were distributed in 11 countries and 38 states. So the reason I tell you all of that is I feel like I've been the biggest cheerleader for Blount County. I would travel the country, travel the world, and I would tell people, find me a community, a small community that has an airport in the county. You have a national park 20 minutes
Mhm.
away. You have a major university. You got a great school system, great quality of life, and a significant runway. You've got great industrial development. People want to move here. This state is very appealing for a lot of reasons, but in particular, East Tennessee. And I would tell people that, and they're like, that place doesn't exist. I'm like, it does. It's where I live. And they're like, well, I have to come visit. And so, like, everybody wants to visit me here. Like, they want to leave all these fantastic places that I enjoy traveling, but I tell my kids there's nothing better than going out on an adventure and having an open mind and curiosity, and there's equally nothing better than coming back to some place you love. So
Yeah.
I have this like seesaw kind of pendulum of when I'm here, I'm excited about going there, and when I'm there, I can't wait to get back here.
Mm. That's a good word.
So,
Yeah.
and I was looking at your LinkedIn, and the original job out of college didn't show up because it started with Red Bull. So, knowing that you had something in the brewery industry before makes more sense to the transition to Blackberry. So then
Right.
let's continue on after that. Are you still working some at Blackberry, or are you kind of an entrepreneur only
Not
now?
really. I have a lot of amazing relationships at BlackBerry and have nothing but like I love talking to that team, watching them grow and develop. So proud of them. I'll do an event with BlackBerry in a couple of weeks in North Carolina, just as through the Southern Foodways Alliance. So a lot of those relationships are still fully intact, but nothing professionally. Um, what I do mostly now, coming out of the pandemic, my two partners in Art of Alchemy, which was the first spirits brand that I started in 2021. We saw a need for all these companies that had to reconfigure their game plan. So we're talking startups, usually from maybe pre-seed fundraising to been in business a couple of years, founder run, maybe a couple of employees. They need to rethink the strategy of their portfolio, their distribution footprint, their fundraising plan, their exit plan. Like what are they going to do? And coming out of the pandemic, nobody really had a lot of answers. So we formed a small investment fund and we made 8 investments in different beverage brands and we took seats on their board. We became operators. And that just threw me into the briar patch of seeing hundreds of pitch decks, hundreds of like business plans. And after doing that for a year and a half, we all started getting this itch to like start our own thing. We're like, okay, we're advising so many people, we're doing so much research and due diligence in this space. And we felt like blended spirits was the most fun place for us to start. We didn't want to open a distillery. The overhead's just exorbitant. We didn't want to go raise $20 million and have a dynamic board. We just said, let's self fund this thing and let's start our own brand. Let's be very patient. So we started Art of Alchemy, and that we've done 5 blends as Art of Alchemy, and they're very small distribution footprint. We're in like 11 states, but some states may only get 20 cases. So like that's something that never really made it to Blount County much, but it's coming back because my partners and I have just worked out a new arrangement where I'm going to take over the brand completely, and it will be sort of based here in Blount County. So you're going to see more activity out of that brand. Um, and then that dovetailed into me getting a phone call from, do you know who Chris Voss is? Chris Voss, if you don't know about him, he's an FBI hostage negotiator. Chris had a 27-year career with the FBI, and he now has a consulting company called the Black Swan Group. And I met Chris through a mutual friend, and Chris had this interesting idea. He was like, why has no one ever started a private bourbon club that is exclusively for invite only members, typically business founders, CEOs, high level C suite, people who are doing major deals? And he said, let's not sell it publicly. Let's put together unique bourbon blends. Let's only speak to this audience who really wants to like work together, network, build companies together, and celebrate wins. So we met in Kentucky. This was summer of 24. And within 3 days, I just felt like it was going to be a really fun thing. I said, "You're the face of the brand. You'll go do most of the networking and most of the client sourcing, and I'll work on the liquid behind the scenes. I'll put together all these blends." So we decided we were going to do quarterly releases, and that's been so much fun. I can't even tell you. Like we had our first official release last spring. So we had a full cycle last year of 4 releases and then 7 kind of one-off single barrel projects. And we need to get together and drink all those. I would like for you to try them. But so like that was another project that wasn't really based in Blount County, but a lot of people were coming through here because they would stay here or come see me, or we would work on blends, or I would do private barrel picks and things like that. And then that just led into me starting this third brand. I'd never had a brand that was really built for speed, is the way I say it. Like that $39.99 brand that can like scale. I never had anything that could really scale. And one of my best friends is an apple winemaker. He's from Charleston. He hosts pig roasts all the time at his winery, and he's always got bourbon. So people kept telling him, you should have your own bourbon. You live in Napa County. You're from the South. You cook fried chicken. Why don't you have your own bourbon? And we just decided what a fun way for us to build this brand that's like a little more affordable, more gettable. And we launched that last November here in Blount County. So this is the epicenter of that brand. So it's just going to splinter off from here in Napa. There's 2 places where it's going to be really like heavily concentrated, and we'll see what happens from there.
That's three very distinct brands and I guess audiences, right? It seems like, and I mean when you partner with somebody like Chris Voss, who I've read at least part of his book, and I mean you sort of get the feeling of his personality. I mean he's intense, go getter. I mean it just seems like some great but very different, unique partnerships that led to very unique business models.
Yes,
And
spot on.
I have a question also.
Yeah.
You said you wanted to start with a blend. Two things. Explain to everybody what a blend is and why start with that. I mean, you said it was easier or something?
No, that's a great question. At the time, let's go back 5 years. Most distilleries were shrouded in mystery. They didn't talk a lot about mash bill. They didn't collaborate at all. And most brands came out of 5 or 6 huge distilleries, or you sourced liquid from MGP, which is a great product. But a lot of the brands that you see on the shelf, that product is sourced from a single distillery. And I asked myself the question and my partners, okay, in craft beer, everybody collaborates. Everybody. Like when you're part of the industry, you're part of this rising tide mentality. And I was in the industry when we were thinking if we could get to 1% market share, we would be successful. And then the battle cry became 5, and everyone was like, there's no way we'll get to 5. Well, craft beer is like 23% market share now. And it's a lot of that's happened by idea sharing,
Wow.
resource sharing, collaborating with buying power, collaborating on recipes, exciting the customer. And I started asking my partners, like, why is no one doing this in spirits? Why is no one blending barrels from different distilleries to create a new product? Well, the big distilleries have no interest in that because they're so entrenched in telling their own story, and that's fine. I'm not criticizing that. It's just a different model. And I went around to distillers that I knew and brokers, and I was like, okay, I'm going to source all these different barrels from different distilleries, different mash bills, bourbon, rye, wheated whiskey, some American single malt. And I started doing blends because I love sensory works. I do a lot of blending. And the products I was coming up with, I would take them to a dinner party, or I would take them to Kentucky when I would go, and I would let people taste them and not tell them what was in the blend. And I got huge favorable responses. People were like, wow, this is really good. Like, I've never had anything like this. Well, that's because no one's ever blended barrels from 4 different distilleries with 4 different mash bills.
Yeah.
So that became a lot of fun for us, and it was a great story. And now you see distilleries, not because of us, I think just the winds of change and things morphing and evolving. But you see a lot of distilleries now blending different mash bills from their own distilleries, and you see some distilleries collaborating with other distilleries. I just think it's a fun way to work. It's something fun for the consumer, and it allows you to have an event and do a release and tell a story. And ultimately, we're in the business of storytelling, is the way I think about it.
I had a friend who uh, said that, everybody's looking for, their piece of the pie. And, when you collaborate, you make that pie bigger so that there's a little piece for everybody. And I'm sure that, the old school distilleries, they want to keep that pie, to themselves, but the collaboration, it's just expanding the universe of bourbon and spirits, and giving everybody a little piece, which I think benefits the consumer for sure. But that's
I
a neat
believe that.
concept.
I mean, let's even bring it back to Blount County. I'm so excited that Raven has opened. I love what's going on at Bella. I'm excited
Yeah.
about the Armory. I still love Foothills Milling Company. Like, this idea that we're competitors, to me, is just not the right way to think about it. We're all independent business operators trying to offer something unique and different and doing it in the best way we know possible, which is rising tide. It starts like Dustin's about to open DSV Provisions. He's a dear friend of mine.
Yeah.
Bella's 2 blocks away. I think they'll both do super well because it's just a different way to look at how they offer what they do. And the more we can support small businesses and independent business owners, I think the more Maryville in particular in Blount County becomes a desirable regional, national, even international destination because you just have strength in numbers. So I've always tried to look at it that way. I think that the more we focus on making each other better, the better off everybody is.
I like that.
So you mentioned a lot of products. I mean, I assume, I mean, you have your hands in so many things. You have products to sell too. I mean, is there stuff that you have your hand in that is in Blount County that people can find, and where can they find it?
Yeah, so both Art of Alchemy and Nighthawks are here at most liquor stores wherever you shop. I know City Farms and Foothills were both like huge supporters of both of our brands over the holidays. I think they all still have product. the Reserve, Browns Creek, Green Meadow, that they all have our products. So, yeah, and then we're toying with the idea of maybe doing a tasting room concept here, where I would
Hmm.
try to highlight all the things I'm involved in, which is a pipe dream for me. Like just a fun way to
That's how
bring
it
people
starts,
into the
though,
fold.
man.
Well, and look at like Greenway Village. I've been involved in that project
Yeah.
from the beginning, and we're gonna have a small wine concept there. I won't be running it, but I was actively involved in recruiting the uh, the people who will be running it, and it's gonna be an all day cafe with very concentrated coffee and like sandwich offering during the day, and then wine bar, limited cocktail menu at night. Like just mining out those opportunities for how do we keep adding things to Blount County that add value, add to the experience. And you used to be able to maybe go out 1 or 2 nights a week. Now I like the idea that people can go out 3 or 4 nights a week and have a different experience. You
Yeah.
can have an early night, a later evening. You can have a really fancy meal. You can have a small snack, and I think that starts to bring the whole community to life.
And it's so I don't know, the quality, it just across the board seems like it just keeps elevating, I guess, here in Blount County, and you're a part of that. And I mean, if listeners have not, or watchers now, oh my gosh, now they can see us. But if they if they haven't been to Pinchies over in Sevierville, do yourself a favor and get over there and but that's coming back to Blount County. So tell us a little bit about that concept, because that's really going to be exciting downtown. And then also, I think you're working on something in Townsend um, coming up soon that people would be interested in.
Yeah, so I haven't talked much about Walnut Kitchen. We didn't really touch that business for the first 4 or 5 months. We just kind of like learned what it was maybe asking for, and we were trying to get Pinchies ready for last football season, and it just wasn't going to happen. So we turned our sights on. If you haven't been to Walnut Kitchen in a while, like we just changed almost everything. Interiors that we
Mm.
Okay.
remodeled the kitchen, we did new artwork, we worked with the team on advancing the menu. We added lunch, we added brunch. So we just dug in on that, and we're super happy with where things are there. Pinchies is going to be this fun raw bar sushi. You can eat the most exotic lobster dishes you've ever had: lobster ramen, lobster mac and cheese, lobster ravioli, or you can get a smash burger. So, and then there's going to be a slice shop on the back of that, because we realized that once that outdoor dining area is open and we're showing a football game on the weekends, a lot of kids probably don't want Walnut Kitchen and Pinchies food. So there'll be a slice shop on the back where you grab a wheel, come sit down, or grab a slice of pizza and do it your way. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And then, yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. I've been quietly working on a music festival in Townsend for the last year. If I wasn't in beverage, I would be in music. Living in Nashville for 11 years, which we didn't talk much about, but most of my friends are in the music business. I grew up, I had a father that was really into vinyl. There was always music playing in my house, and a variety of music: jazz, country, rock. And I worked in a record store in Knoxville, and I've been to hundreds of festivals, and I've always felt like something should be happening in Townsend that was a little bit more like what I'm
Mm.
seeing in Telluride, Newport Folk, Ohana, Portland, Oregon. So we're on the cusp of being able to announce that. We're not quite ready yet, but it's going to be a 2027 offering, and we're almost there. And I'm super excited about that. I've got a team that is part of the vision team that we're involved in Railbird, Moon River, and the early days of Bonnaroo. So it's going to be a really professional offering, but something that shines a light on this territory and this region. What I didn't want was to have some national conglomerate come in here and do something and kind of strip mine the resources and leave town, and we're all kind of like, what was that? I wanted it to be
Yeah.
started locally, run by locals, for locals, and if you want to come be a part of it, great, you're welcome. But this is something that really highlights our region, our national park, all the beautiful recreational opportunities we have, all the hospitality things we've been talking about. I just think it's the other side of the park is great, but they don't need any help attracting more entertainment. I feel like this side of the park could use an upscale fun. There's already a lot of great things happening, don't get me wrong, but a
Yeah.
proper regional national festival, I think I'm excited about it. We've gotten a great response so far from the people we've talked to.
That's really
So,
exciting.
hearing all this, like, here's a question that comes to mind for me. What do you do in your free time?
It's a very fair question. So I'll tell you two things. My my wife is like, I can't tell when you're working and when you're playing. She's like, when you go out of town, I don't think you're actually working. And I'm like, listen, that was not an accident. Like, I do believe in
That's
work
good.
hard, play hard. And I also, the second thing I'll tell you is I've never thought one day about retiring. Like, I'm doing exactly what I think I was put on this earth to do. I love people. I love events. I love hospitality. I love travel. I love building brands. And everything I'm doing right now gives me the opportunity to do that with people I respect and admire and like. So, like, why would you stop doing that? To do what? Like,
Mm.
I think I'll just do this until I fall over. And I hope that those people around me are like, he was having a great time. Like, he was happy, and I like being challenged. I'm infinitely curious. So, there's a lot to see in this world, and there's a lot of things I want to bring back here. So yeah, I don't think about retirement, and I burn it hot. I tell my children
Mm.
I have a high motor. I wake up inspired and I go to bed exhausted. And if I can do that every day, that's probably a good day.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is probably a great place to end this podcast. I do want to ask, because we always ask, folks as we exit. Is there anything we haven't talked about? I mean, we've covered a lot of ground, and there's probably a lot more to cover, but that you want to mention to the listeners out there?
No, I think maybe the last thing I'll say is if there's one thing I sacrificed in the last 10 years, I've lived here 13 years. In the first 10 years, I was traveling a lot, building that brand across that footprint that I mentioned. And I wasn't able to get involved in as many things locally. The last 3 years, I've made a concerted effort to get involved in Leadership Blunt. I sit on our chamber board now. I'm a part of a variety of
Mhm.
committees for economic development and downtown. And I don't know if you're familiar with the Levitt Foundation and the live music series that's coming to the amphitheater, but that's a
Yeah.
really exciting thing that's around the corner for this year. We'll have 10 free concerts in the amphitheater that will just breathe even more life into this whole my small group project for Leadership Blunt was activating the amphitheater, which I'm very passionate about. And how do we bring young
Awesome.
professionals and college students and businesses and families together more downtown? So the Levitt Foundation, I'm really excited about just being able to be more involved locally. So yeah, I love it here, and I just can't wait to see all the things that are going to happen.
Awesome.
We can tell that you love it here, and we appreciate it. We appreciate all you do for this community, and also for going out and bringing it back. It's amazing, and we benefit from that.
Well,
So
thanks for everything you
thank
guys
you.
do.
Thanks, Roy Milner. Yeah,
Thanks for
well,
everything
Wow.
you do.
Thanks.
Y'all
Thank you,
have an
Roy.
amazing reputation. We need to spend more time together. I've got a lot of bourbon. Let's drink some together.
let's do that.
It's recorded. It's been recorded. So,
Fair enough.
all right.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Roy.
All right. Have a great day, guys.
Interesting guy, isn't? I mean, he's got so much going on and
He does.
so much to
And,
offer.
I mean, he got into he got into the beer industry right out of college, which I
Yep.
mean, because he sees what he wanted to do, and he just went out and did it. And
Yeah.
a lot of us, I guess, know what they want to do. They just don't take the initiative to go do it. But he did, and good for him.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, and we were talking a minute ago off camera here that you have to have resources,
Mhm.
but you've got to go build your own resources, and he's done that. He's built all these relationships and has put together resources that are maybe not all his. That this cooperation that he's talking about, and putting together these resources with other people that. He knows so much about, spirits and hospitality, but then maybe other people have something else to bring to the table. And, that's what all of this is about, and seems like what Roy has been about his entire career.
Yeah, it goes back to what you said right at the beginning there. That relationships. I mean,
Yeah.
if if our kids are listening and that, you're hesitant to go out and talk to people, go out and talk to people, because it might not mean anything to you at the time, but now he's got all these people that he knows from all over the country that are great relationships. That may be somebody that knows somebody that helps you. So
Yeah,
it definitely did him. And now we know Roy Milner, which will help us.
for sure.
That's the
For
goal.
sure. And we're going to take him up on that. Tasting.
Like I said, we have it recorded on record.
We have it recorded.
Don't try to slip out without.
And I've got his phone number. So Roy, we're going to be calling you.
Sorry. Worst thing Roy ever did is gave Eric Rice his phone number.
Okay, Brett. Well, anything going on in the real estate market? Probably not today.
I was going to say that it's January 26th as we're recording this, so it's still pretty early in the year. And of course, the blizzard was coming all weekend, so nobody did anything for a week because of preparing for the rain event we had yesterday. But hey, there is snow on the ground today.
There is snow on the
ground
ground
right now. So
it's a nice little winter wonderland out there.
It is. And January is traditionally slow anyway. I was looking, as I go back through previous years, January was the slowest month for sales last year. It was the second slowest to February. The year before that, it was the slowest. The year before that, it was the slowest. I mean, you see the trend. It's just going to be slow.
Yeah.
So far in Blount County, there have been 96 houses, 96, I'm dyslexic, 69 houses sold. So it's a little slow. Last year we did 122 in January. 2023 was the lowest with 96. So it's going to be slow, but there's lots of factors of that. I'm still optimistic about 2026 as a whole.
So we still have a week or so left. What are we at now? Sales 69.
69. Mm-hmm.
And then we did last year. What did we do?
We had 122 last year. So
I don't think we're going to get there.
I don't think we're going to get to that either.
Yeah, it does seem to have slowed. The activities seem to have slowed.
I keep changing my height there.
That's the problem with people being able to see us now. It's like,
we used to be able to do whatever we want.
Yeah. Well, I am optimistic as well as you are. But we're starting out a little slow, so we're gonna have to pick it up later.
Call us, people.
That's right. Call us, but not until tomorrow when the snow goes away.
Yeah, so, I'm not sure it's going to go away tomorrow, but hell yeah.
You know what we need to do is we need to check in with Michelle. What do you think?
Always, because she knows more than we do.
Let's check in with Michelle McCauley at Movement Mortgage.
Hello, I hope everyone is thawing out from the winter storm. My name is Michelle McCauley and I'm with Movement Mortgage. Let's jump right into the mortgage market update. As of January 27th, mortgage interest rates remain elevated but relatively stable, with the average 30-year fixed rate sitting around 6%, and also the VA and FHA is around 5.75%. That's still near the lowest levels we've seen in over 3 years. Even though rates have ticked a bit higher recently after a brief dip, investors are still closely watching the Federal Reserve this week, as most expect the Fed to hold its key interest rate steady, which could keep mortgage rates within a tight range for now. For homebuyers and refinancers, mortgage costs are lower than a year ago, but affordability remains a challenge. So whether you're buying or refinancing, give me a call at 865-806-6113.
All right. Thank you, Michelle. Good stuff as always.
Nice work. Well, that's a wrap on another episode.
That's right.
I beat you to it.
You did beat me to it. So join us in 2 weeks for our next one.
Yep. Who will our next guest be?
What topics will we cover?
And what's changed in the real estate market?
Well,
let's find out. Thanks for listening to the Let's Be Blunt podcast. If you have questions or guest ideas, or if you'd like to sponsor a segment of our podcast, please send us an email at eric@lecontcompanies.com or brett@lecontcompanies.com.
We're Brett Hepner and Eric Rice. We call ourselves the Property Dads. As local realtors, we want you to know and love this community as much as we do. If you have questions about real estate, don't hesitate to call us at LeConte Realty, 865-268-4180. We'll be happy to help.